Welcome to our CEO.CA viewers. My name is Amrit Gill and we're at PDAC in Toronto, the world's premier mineral exploration and mining convention. Joining me now is Alex Wiley, CEO and President of Volt Lithium. Welcome.
Nice to see you.
How's the convention been so far for you?
It's been great. There's been a lot of exposure and seeing a lot of people, so it's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Volt Lithium and the vision behind the company.
Sure. So Volt Lithium, I founded Volt Lithium about a year and a half ago. We were private up until December of 2022. We merged with a company called Allied Copper. And so the Allied Copper team now owns Volt, and I'm the president of Allied Copper and also the president and CEO of Volt.
So tell us about your properties.
Yeah, so we have about 435,000 acres in northwest Alberta. What's a little bit unique to us versus some of the other lithium companies, we've actually signed a production deal with an oil and gas producer. Our property, our lithium is in the brine up in northwest Alberta in what's called the Keg River play. The oil and gas producers have been producing for 40 years. The lithium's in the brine, so we're beyond an exploration play. We're actually moving into development.
And what experience are you drawing from to execute on some of your operations?
Well, so where we are in Alberta, it's all in the oil and gas reservoirs. I'm historically an oil and gas person, and so oil and gas is a lot about fluid movement and production. So my experience in oil and gas works really well with what we're doing on the lithium side.
And you recently put out some results. Could you share the details behind those?
Sure. We put out two press releases in the last month and a half. The first one was we described the size of our reservoirs. So we've got third-party engineering group has said we've got 78 billion barrels of lithium-infused brine, and we've had concentrations up to 120 milligrams per liter, which are some of the highest concentrations in Alberta. We also put out a second press release where we announced our results from our extraction technology. So we've been able to remove 99% of contaminants from the fluid, and our extraction rates are about 93% in terms of our lithium recovery. So we've got high recoveries on our lithium from our process that we've developed so far.
What should that signal to investors?
Well, what we've done is it's given us the confidence to move from being on the bench scale and in the lab and into pilot production. So we're happy with our results, and we're going to be moving into pilot production as we move into Q2 of 2023. That'll put us fairly far ahead of most other lithium companies. There's one or other two groups that have been in pilot production, and so we're going to be the first in, at least in Western Canada, to go into pilot production.
And you mentioned Allied Copper. Can you talk us through that deal and how it's influenced the current operations?
Yeah, so Allied Copper is focused on battery metals. They've focused historically on copper. We started talking with them with our lithium play back in September of last year. Because their battery metals focus, it made a lot of sense. What's ultimately going to happen is, depending on what the results are, we'll probably start to focus more on our lithium. The copper assets are great. It's just they're a little bit earlier stage than where we're at with the lithium.
And are you able to provide more details on your upcoming pilot projects?
Yeah, so our plan is to process the pilot in two phases. Phase one is going to be a controlled pilot at our equipment supplier's facility. We plan on producing up to about 250,000 liters in the first pilot production. Upon having some success in the pilot production, in the controlled pilot, we're going to move all the infrastructure to the field, and we're going to start processing in the field on a pilot basis. And so our expectation from the pilot is not only to show that we can extract lithium, but we want to show that we can extract it economically. So we're going to have economics about our costs and what it's going to cost to produce. The goal here is to make sure we've got the right equipment that we can scale. And so we're going to scale from our pilot phase, and our plan is to move into commercial production as we move into the second half of 2024.
And Alex, you are working with oil and gas partners, so talk about the synergies and the dynamic there.
Yeah, there's a lot of synergy. So every day, the oil and gas producer is producing fluid. The amount of brine in the fluid that they're producing is about 90%. So we're using their infrastructure, which is a big deal. So to get our pilot off the ground, we don't have to drill wells. We don't have to do a lot of the work that maybe other groups would have to do because the infrastructure is already in place. It also really helps from a regulatory perspective. So there's a regulatory framework in place for oil and gas in Alberta. They're developing it for lithium, but because we're using oil and gas infrastructure, the government's comfortable that they're saying, okay, well, we understand how the infrastructure works for oil and gas. If you're using the same infrastructure, we're comfortable moving you forward from a regulatory perspective. So the oil and gas synergies are significant for us.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our community at CEO.CA?
I guess thank you for the time today. There's going to be a lot that's upcoming over the next couple of months, so I look forward to staying in touch with you guys.
Appreciate your time as well. Take care, Alex.
Thank you.